But first, breaking tonight, a bizarre story and situation unfolding in New Jersey. The mayor of the state's largest city is under arrest tonight as he and 3 Democratic members of Congress are accused of breaking into an immigration and customs enforcement facility, an ICE facility, during a protest. Newark Democratic Mayor Ras Baraka is being held at a Homeland Security office in his city. That's where correspondent Alexis McAdams is right now. Good evening, Alexis.
Brett, bizarre is a good way to put it here. People are now calling for the release of Mayor Baraka here in Newark, New Jersey, after he was taken away in handcuffs earlier this afternoon. Before I show you that arrest, though, Brett, I just want to show you what we're seeing here. We just arrived a few moments ago. You can see the crowd. These people have showed up after Baraka's arrest. We're in front of an HSI facility here in Newark, New Jersey, or the Homeland Security office. And you can see here as well, you can see the officers right here through that fence, and they're getting ready to possibly give some new information as we wait after this arrest. Watch this.
Put your hands on me.
Okay, so the Newark mayor there, also Congressman Robert Menendez Jr., Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, and also LaMonica MacIver were all involved. We're told at least 3 of the congresswomen and men tried to break into the detention facility, according to DHS. Sources tell us that when the gates of Delaney Hall Detention Center opened this afternoon to let in a bus full of detainees, the Democrat elected officials ran right inside, pushing by security and entering what is a secure facility. Democrats say that facility opened without permission from the city of Newark. It opened last month. It's expected to be a busy ICE facility, a private one, housing about 1,000 migrants a day. The officials wanted to go inside, so they decided they'd just take matters into their own hands. Why did they want to go inside, Brett? I'm told it was because they wanted to make sure the migrants were okay and were, quote, being fed. DHS says these are criminals that are being taken off the street for a reason. MS-13 gang members and also migrants held on murder, rape, and drug trafficking charges are inside. Back out here live, I just want to again give you a quick look here. DHS calling this a bizarre political stunt. You can see the people all over here in Newark, New Jersey. They want their mayor to be set free. DHS says not going to happen. Alina Habba telling Fox earlier he is going to face some serious charges here, and it might not just be trespass. We'll keep an eye on it, Brett.
Yeah, Alexis, the New Jersey Attorney General just out saying, he's a Democrat, saying this was peacefully exercising their right to free speech. It sounds like there's a number of people out there still calling for his release.
That's right, yeah, I mean, these people aren't going to go anywhere. I'll have my photographer, Neil, just kind of show you, like, this is a pretty big crowd. They do have some law enforcement here as well mixed in, but earlier you could see in that video that those ICE officers there at the other detention facility were trying to stop these elected officials from coming in, saying, you can't come into this place. We've got gang members in here. You can't just come in and take a tour. And they said they wanted to. They said that they want their mayor to be released, and so we'll see what happens next. But I don't think the crowd's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, that's the key thing, going into the facility. And Alexis McAdams will follow this story. Head back for breaking details. Thank you.
Greg, domestic terrorists, this is something, the idea here is that political violence seems to, and today exist extremely on the left. Right.
Yeah, I think you had one bad day for the right, and they had to like milk it for all it's worth, commissions, you name it, throw everybody in jail. They've done this every single day since like 1963. They haven't stopped. And think about all the crap that the Dems are doing now. The singing, the shouting, flying to El Salvador, storming ICE. They've replaced law and order with performance art. The problem is, like all performance art, no one buys it. It's one and done. It's self-serving. It doesn't offer any service to the community that they claim to help. No one really remembers Van Hollen going to El Salvador. I'm sure he would like people to forget about it. I won't. Somebody should put out an Amber Alert for Van Hollen. Where is that douchebag? That guy wasted, how many weeks of our lives being a self-righteous jerk? Sorry. I was going through all the words in my head and I came up with jerk. But this is all, you know what this is? This is all traced back to the guilty white liberal and the soft bigotry of no expectations. They believe you cannot be held accountable for your actions. You're almost too childlike to be expected to conform to civilized behavior. This is why you have the affluent white female libs, awfuls, defending extra rights for male perverts, gang members, and psychopaths. Imagine if a lot of women there went into this ICE structure alone without any security. What might happen there? They'll never find out because they have security. Meanwhile, it's American men, mothers, and wives who have said enough. Americans are generally pretty laid back until they're not, and then they've had enough. You elected Trump. The adults enter the room. These are children. This is a tantrum. They expect us to respect that. We won't.
Hey, you talk about violence. I'm old enough to remember when police officers around the country were being assassinated. 5 in Dallas at a mostly peaceful protest. And now you have Democrat members of Congress going on there. I was assaulted. I mean, they looked real assaulted to me. I mean, roughed up grandma there.
It's a show. And again, what are the Democrats' priorities? So the mayor of Newark oversees a city that right now has a huge problem with their airport. It's an international hub. He's not dealing with that problem. It's a city that has a higher than usual crime rate compared to the national average. And what is he doing? He's showing up at a federal facility, trespassing, breaking in, and getting arrested for show. And then the congressmen and women who are there with him go out to the cameras and claim that they're assaulted. Well, it's not assault when you break in to federal property, and it is a federal crime to trespass without permission. And I think if you look at the way that certain people have been prosecuted for trespassing on federal property, and Democrats continue to say the law is the law, that maybe they should be prosecuted the same way as the insurrectionists. Exactly.
Harold.
Exactly.
Harold, I could hear your voice reading this topic saying, I think there's a loss on both sides. Like, I know who you are, and I know where you think you're a very level-headed guy.
There too. If you,
but I don't want to give you that. I don't want to give you that softball. You are a Democrat, and you hear Jasmine Crockett kind of just punt the responsibility. And so whatever you think is happening on the right or isn't happening on the right, the left probably should take a stand against not just what we saw at this ICE facility, but what we're seeing in these protests on college campuses. And if honestly, if words are hurtful the way the left would say, they're saying they're being very violent.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a believer in bringing people together. And for the life of me, I don't think you can laugh. I think there's a dearth.
I've been to his hot tub party.
That's true. I think there's a dearth of that. When you see violence in politics, the instinct shouldn't be to say they do it more than we do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's done 90% by Democrats and 10% by Republicans or vice versa. I don't have a thing in front of me to tell you. I do know the country. We have a history in our country, and some of it is a proud history of having hard, contentious conversations about really, really almost intractable issues, some of them which still afflict us today as we try to solve them. And sometimes it turns into silliness. It turns like, I don't agree. When federal officials tell you you shouldn't do something, you shouldn't do it. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I give you no leniency because of your political leanings. Two, you said it well, Katie. In New Jersey, it's not just in New Jersey, it's in a lot of places. There's an air traffic control issue. That's where every politician, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, should be trying their hardest to fight. You have people that can't pay their rent, can't pay their mortgage. You have small business people worried about how to set prices, whether they have to fire people, whether or not they're going to have inventory in their stores. That's where the focus should be. So violence should be condemned regardless of who commits it. And I don't know if one party's committed more than not in our almost 250-year history, but I know one thing. Hard, tough, political, contentious conversations are fine as long as our aim is to try to solve things. But this is not, whether it's January 6th, whether it's this, whether it's any of the other examples that we talk about here today. The focus should be on bringing people together and solving problems. And that may sound corny, but I don't mind being corny.
Can I say one more thing just about the people they're defending in this ICE facility? There are people in there who have actually assaulted people. People who have actually committed sexual assault, other kinds of violence against American citizens. And the Democrats who stormed, breached the premises are trying to protect them.
They should let them in and let them hang with them for a few hours.
Well, and it's not just this ICE facility. Just not far from here, Brooklyn University had, I guess protesters thought they were going to make an encampment, and the university said, no, we're not having that. They call in NYPD. They say, come in and clean this out. They do. Protesters get violent. Next thing you know, they're claiming that they're being assaulted, and all the police are doing is exactly what their job is. Is this leaning towards another anti-police movement? Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to get violent in these protests. We're seeing it, Antifa, that kind of thing. Now it's the Antifada.
It seems like the police, especially in New York City, have been very measured in dealing with these campus protests, whether it's at Columbia University or Brooklyn, where it happened just a few days ago. And by the way, some of those protesters defacing property all over the place and encouraging, a little bit of aggression. They want to see something happen. With the Newark mayor being arrested today, I keep thinking about New York City's mayor, right? And the mayor of Newark and how different they are. So the mayor of Newark storms a federal facility knowing full well he probably will get arrested. Hoping to get arrested because he wants to have some kind of stance on the migrant situation. We have the mayor of New York City who basically got arrested, he said, because he went to Washington and shamed, at the time, President Biden for his stance on how he was handling the migrant situation in New York City. In fact, Mayor Adams is in D.C. today talking to President Trump, and I'm sure the migrant situation is agenda.
Well, here's the hope that everyone that is considering political violence doesn't.
But understand, they have every right to go there. They were not allowed to go in. The oversight function of the Democrats and Republicans in Congress is something
That's different than breaking it.
No, then they should have been arrested. You should be held accountable if you committed it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But they have every right to
DHS said they give them a tour. They didn't do that.
Probably they were wrong.
There's going to be no accountability. They're going to raise money off getting arrested, and then no charges. They're going to win.
So we have some new information from DHS regarding this incident that we've been watching. I know this is sort of a static shot here of these few folks on the other side of this fence, but we want to fill you in on what has been happening in Newark, New Jersey. DHS says, quote, a group of protesters, including 2 members of Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the ICE detention facility. The members, Robert Menendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman, and multiple protesters are holed up in a guard shack area, the first security checkpoint. Interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba for the District of New Jersey posting on X that Newark's Democrat Mayor Ras Baraka was there and, quote, committed trespass. Here he is talking about the facility earlier in the week.
We know what ICE has done in the past. We've seen them. We know how they operate. We know that they have picked people up who have not broken any laws. We know they've deported people and refused to bring them back.
So joining me now by phone, Republican New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew. Congressman, good to have you with us. What is your understanding of what happened here and what's going on?
Well, I don't know that any of us totally understand what happened there. It's not understandable. It's people who are supposed to be writing the laws, abiding by the laws, believe in the rule of law, and they are breaking the law. And what's really disturbing is this happened in New Jersey, in a state that is a sanctuary state declared by the governor, where we spent money on God knows what, on clothing, housing, feeding, transporting, and everything else with illegals. Now we don't want to send those illegals back to where they belong that have been indicted or convicted at their country of origin or in the United States. We don't need that here in America, and we don't need it here in New Jersey. These folks who were there, especially the members of Congress, and I'm always reluctant to criticize my colleagues, but this is terrible. They don't have their finger on the pulse of what real, hard-working Americans are thinking. You know what, Martha? Most people right now in New Jersey are breaking their ass, trying to make a living, doing the best they can to pay their mortgage. There are very high taxes in the state of New Jersey, and they're sick and tired of it.
Do you have any indication? We know that Alina Habba, the interim attorney of New Jersey, she says that the mayor of Newark, Baraka, committed trespass. Do you have any idea if he's in custody or he was arrested? We're trying to get some clarity on that.
I know. To the best of my knowledge, he has not in custody, but that, things are breaking and changing as we speak, so I don't know that for sure. But here is someone in the executive branch of local government, a mayor of our largest city in the state of New Jersey, willing to break the law that he is supposed to have enforced. And that is such a disturbing picture. That is just unacceptable. So, and Alina Hobb is doing a great job, and she's a great U.S. attorney, interim right now. I'm hopeful she will be our permanent U.S. attorney in the state of New Jersey. So she needs to do what she needs to do in order to ensure that we abide by the rule of law. This is America. We're a nation of laws, and we believe in the rule of law. And I can't tell you how profoundly disturbed I am that, there are those folks who should be actually enhancing the enforcement of the law who are purposely breaking it, making America weaker, New Jersey weaker. It's a bad thing.
Let me ask you this. So this Delaney Hall, we covered this a little bit with U.S. Attorney Haba last week. But do you know what this building is and how they want to use it and who they were bringing in on this bus?
Well, what they have focused on, as you know as well, Martha, is anyone particularly who has committed crimes, is a member of a gang, has done something that's wrong. They're not just going, first of all, legal immigrants, not illegal, legal immigrants, contrary to what the other side said, are not being deported. And when people say that, they're not telling the truth, number one. Secondly, the main focus is entirely on people who are on a terror watch list, are members of gangs, have committed violence, are involved with drugs, and quite frankly are doing real bad stuff in the United States of America. This is to be a detention area because there's plenty of them in New Jersey to hold them there, and there was a great deal of resistance from the mayor and from the governor and from others, and some of our members of Congress in New Jersey.
Yeah.
This is, whether you agree, whether they agree or not with the law, it is law.
Yeah, the local New Jersey station, New Jersey 12, is reporting that they have a photo of Baraka, according to them, being put in handcuffs following a verbal altercation with federal officials at this facility. And Alina Haba has posted, the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, the mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, committed trespass, ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law, and she says this will not stand. So, Congressman, this is a part of Newark. I'm familiar with this area, and there's a lot of companies in this area, a lot of businesses that employ a lot of people. This Delaney Hall facility, I believe, was reopened for this purpose just recently. Talk to us about crime, about the pressures on people of New Jersey, what they're dealing with, and how they might be feeling about their elected officials getting in the way of this process.
I think the vast majority of New Jersey across the state are profoundly disturbed by this. And for so many reasons. As I alluded to first when we started talking about this, we have spent money in New Jersey, and despite what they say, yes, we are. We declared, you can look it up, you can Google it, for God's sake, we're a sanctuary state. That means that they've declared they won't comply or work with federal authorities. That's breaking the law, number one. Number two, all the money we've spent, Martha, in New Jersey on all of the stuff, again, on housing them, on transporting them, on feeding them, on all the different things, on issuing cards, debit cards to them in some cases. People are working hard in New Jersey. A lot of folks are working multiple jobs. It's a very high tax state. It's a very expensive state to live in. And on top of it, terrible energy policy in New Jersey. So as you know, our energy rates in the state of New Jersey are skyrocketing. That's what our mayor should be worried about. That's what the members of Congress should be worried about, making life livable and affordable for New Jersey.
Well, the New York Post reporting that the Newark mayor tried to shut down this ICE detention center and claims that it doesn't have a permit to operate. That's sort of his way of getting at this and trying to intervene, saying that inspectors weren't allowed in and therefore the facility is not adequate. But then you see people with huge banners outside, ICE out of New Jersey, which may be pointing to the larger issue here. Jeff Andrew, Congressman, thank you very much. Good to have you with us on this breaking news this afternoon.
Good to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
The fear of individuals just going about their lives in the streets. We came here to see the conditions inside, and those conditions aren't bad. We don't know that everyone who is inside belongs there, but we knew that people are okay, they're safe, it's clean, they're feeding them. ICE is out of control. ICE thinks it can intimidate all of us, and it cannot intimidate any of us. And we, the people, will make sure that this administration adheres to the rules that separate us from dictatorships in other third world countries. And I've spoken much too long. Let me turn this over to LaMonica. I guess because I'm the oldest and I'm the angriest.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. First of all, I want to start by thanking my colleagues for being here with me today, both Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman and, of course, Congressman Rob Menendez for being here. Look, we came here simply to perform our oversight duties. That is why we came here. There is a law that says that we are able to do that as members of Congress, and that is what we got here to do. As soon as we got here, we were met with opposition. People were telling us that they're getting a supervisor, that they're going to get someone to come talk with us. We waited and waited. Finally, we went past the gate, and then we had to wait longer. We actually waited over 2 hours to get into this facility just to do a simple oversight visit. They say nothing is wrong with the prison, with this detention center, that we can get in here, that everything, they're following orders. But once again, they delayed us from getting in here to see this facility. We waited in the waiting area for a very long time, talked to many staff members, talked to the warden of this location, and literally still waiting for ICE officials to get here. What all of you watch occurred is just how reckless ICE is. It is unacceptable that me as a member of Congress, as a black woman here in this city, was just assaulted by multiple ICE officers, while regional directors of ICE watched it happen. Since we toured the whole facility with them, no one offered an apology or said anything to me about what occurred out here. Not only was I assaulted, but Congressman Bonnie Watson was assaulted, and of course Congressman Rob Menendez was roughed up as he was trying to protect us. It makes no sense, and it is highly unacceptable how this administration is trying to restrict Congress from doing their bare duties and the responsibilities that the people have elected us to do. What we just witnessed was just disgusting. I am very upset, I am very angry, and I am very hurt that they could be able to do something like that to us. These are people who are supposed to be officers, who are supposed to protect us, and they have done none of that. If they can treat 3 members of Congress like that, just imagine how they can treat people on the street each and every day, both undocumented and people who are citizens here in this country. It makes absolutely no sense to arrest the mayor of the largest city of this state, who did nothing wrong. He went inside of the gate and told them that he was waiting for us to come out because we were conducting an oversight visit. They asked him to leave. He left out of the gate. Instead of the ICE officials that were here, who were supposed to be here to lead us on a tour, they then came out to have a huddle to talk about how the mayor was inside and that he should be arrested still because he was inside. They then came back out after the mayor was out here with you all, some of you out here. They then left us still. We're waiting for a visit to come back out here and arrest the mayor, who had already left off of their property from behind the gate. What we see here is despicable, and we should all be angry. This is unacceptable, and we should not allow this to be happening. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rob Menendez.
I can't begin describe what happened here today. It started as part of our core functions as members of Congress to conduct oversight of ICE and privately run detention centers, where we waited patiently for over an hour and a half, to just waited. Waited to do what we've done together at Elizabeth Detention Center. We waited. And then we only saw action taking place outside where we were waiting, not knowing what was happening. We walked out to see what was going on. We saw Mayor Baraka out here by himself, mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, waiting for us to come back. ICE brought to meet the mayor of Newark over 20 armed individuals. 20 armed individuals to confront the mayor of Newark, along with 3 members of Congress. It was an act of intimidation. It was an act of intimidation not just to the mayor, not just to us, but to everyone watching. We know what ICE has been doing in our communities. We know that the president lied and this administration lies every day when they're saying they're going after criminals. It is not true. They feel no weight of the law. They feel no restraint on what they should be doing. And that was shown in broad daylight today when they not just arrested the mayor of Newark, but when they put their hands on 2 members of Congress who are standing behind me. How is this acceptable to anyone in this country? How is this acceptable? I fight along with these 2 incredible women every day for the people of New Jersey. We fight for the country that we should be. What we saw today is the country that we live in under Donald Trump and his Department of Homeland Security, under his ICE. It doesn't reflect who we are as a country. It reflects everything wrong at the moment that we're in. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. It should shake every American to the core, to their core, to our collective core. But this happened today here in the city of Newark, the most inclusive city in New Jersey, with the mayor who represents the city, with the congresswoman who represents the city, and with Bonnie Watson-Coleman, who's fought for the people of New Jersey her entire distinguished career. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And it should be unacceptable to every single person that's watching today. This will not be the end of it. It will not be the end of it when we leave here. It will not be the end of it when we go find Mayor Baraka. It will not be the end of it when we go home tonight. The fight continues. It will continue until we correct the course that we are on.
We are going to be here, and we are going to where they are holding the mayor.
Okay, I think we've heard from all of them. A very emotional Robert Menendez Jr. And there were descriptions of assault that happened to these 3 individuals. At the moment, they appeared to be okay as they were railing against this ICE detention facility and their treatment there.
Let's get the very latest from Eric Shawn, who's been following it all. Eric.
Yeah, well, a very tense situation this afternoon at Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, as we have been reporting. ICE claims of the Department of Homeland Security that the 2 members of Congress broke in, rushing into this facility you see there, and that gate opened up. A van drove in during the protest. That's when they say the 2 members of Congress rushed in, first stayed in a guard shack, but now they are out. But this has all occurred as the mayor of Newark, who is an opponent of the facility, Ras Baraka, has been arrested for trespassing. The DHS officials tell Fox News that during that demonstration, the 2 members of Congress were Congressman Robert Menendez Jr., son of the disgraced former senator, who was convicted of corruption and then resigned, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman. In a statement, DHS says the members of Congress storming into the detention center goes beyond bizarre political stunts and put the safety of our law enforcement agents and the detainees at risk. Members of Congress, it says, are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities. Had these members requested a tour, we would have facilitated a tour of the facility. It is an evolving situation. Well, Congressman Coleman has come out, and she said that they were roughed up inside along with the mayor. She blasted ICE and the Trump administration as violating the law. Meanwhile, interim U.S. Attorney for Newark, Elena Haba, just told Fox News that the officials were not harmed. She calls this a political stunt and political grandstanding. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, he's been trying to shut this place down, claiming the city is not giving it a permit because it failed fire inspections. Here he is on Monday saying the problem is the Trump administration and the ICE actions against some of these detainees and the Trump policy dealing with illegal immigration. Here's the mayor.
These people are dangerous dangerous to our community, dangerous to democracy as a whole, dangerous to the Constitution of the United States, and everybody should be as alarmed as we are.
Well, we're told that the mayor has now been taken to, or is being taken to a federal facility. Some of the protesters, members of Congress, are going to it. The mayor is now being held. He was apparently handcuffed during his arrest for trespassing. The facility, by the way, had been closed for a long time. It is operated by a private company. It has reopened the past few months, and it is being expanded to house about 1,000 beds, certainly a center of controversy in the sanctuary city and sanctuary state of New Jersey. Well, back to you.
All right, thank you for the latest, Eric. Excellent reporting. While we're listening to you, Eric, we see video on our screen, relatively tame video of what's happening, Eric. I would love to ask you a question because there's video circulating as well online that shows a much more physical confrontation. And I'm curious if you have any color on exactly what went down there. The mayor has been arrested, to your point. We see what looks like aggressive action outside the gates with a crowd around many of these elected members. And there is no doubt, there's pushing, there's shoving, it is physical.
We know emotions really on this issue are running very high, especially in the dense northeast cities in which many illegal or undocumented migrants and immigrants live. So you have that element here who have been out protesting the policies of the Trump administration. So you have a mixture. You've got high emotions outside. You have the representatives trying to represent their constituents. They go inside. And Alina Hava told Fox News just in the last hour that Mayor Ras Baraka was asked multiple times to leave the facility, and he did not. That's why he was arrested. It's also important to note that he is part of the, he's running for the Democratic nomination for governor. So some critics think politics may have a part in all of this too.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I lost your audio there for a moment, but I think it was simply on my end. You're broadcasting, as always, excellently. Thank you so much, Eric.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.